We now know the Obama administration knew within 24 hours that the murder of our ambassador and 3 others, including 2 former Navy SEALs, was a terrorist attack and labeled it that way internally. So why did Ambassador Susan Rice say this to the American people?
This was not a pre-planned, premeditated attack. That what happened, it was a spontaneous reaction to what had just transpired in Cairo as a consequence of the video. Our current assessment is that what happened in Benghazi was, in fact, initially a spontaneous reaction. What our assessment is, as of the present, is in fact what it began spontaneously in Benghazi as a reaction to what had transpired some hours earlier in Cairo.
I think they should write Face the Nation more in the backdrop. Can you believe that trend? Our political panel joins us right now. Matt Continetti is here. Matt is the editor-in-chief of the Washington Free Beacon. Lady Lynn Forrester de Rothschild is a political fundraiser, also here, and a big Hillary Clinton supporter. And Marjorie Clifton is here, or Her Majesty, as she wants to be known.
Thank you. Yes.
And she's a Democratic strategist. Hey, Matt, first off, are you surprised by these events? How flagrantly they were wrong in telling us something, but internally it was a totally different story.
No, I have to say I am shocked, and I think Ambassador Rice has a huge problem. I mean, this is a total credibility issue here. To not only have a different story over the course of over a week now, but then to be just flat out cut off by the Secretary of Defense, by the Secretary of State. I want to hear from the President, too. He's been relatively silent on this issue. There's statements that he said it was an attack to the ladies of The View, you know, that important interview he gave. He needs to give some type of speech laying out the case, because so far his administration has really dropped the ball on this.
And, you know, Lady Lynn, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, because we have to find out why security wasn't bolstered up. We have to find out what we knew ahead of time. We also know the President got a very strict briefing on September 10th that something could be happening on September 11th.
That's true, that's true. But the issue is what Susan Rice said. And if Barack Obama is reelected, it's rumored that she will be nominated to be the next Secretary of State. So we will find out when she's being vetted what she knew. She knew it. And she's either a fool who didn't know, or she is a tool of the White House and something that they wanted to propagate. She's got to answer for herself.
But you have to look at actually her words in all of her interviews. What she says is our current assessment is. This is the same language, frankly, that was used at 9/11. As national security matters, it is not smart for any administration that doesn't have full information to go on national television and start talking about things they don't know. What we know right now is that the Benghazi government will not even, and has recommended the FBI stay away from the site. They haven't even been able to go onto the site of the attack. And what they do know is not that it was days that this was planned out, that it was actually hours, potentially, and in the flux of this chaos that was happening in the protest.
Marjorie, we're already moving on bin Laden within hours of their moving assets on the ground. So for her to come out and say that, I actually don't even blame her. Who told her to say that? And is it significant that the Secretary of State didn't say it?
Right.
That it was the ambassador to the UN, because you could say, we don't know, we're still investigating, as opposed to, it's a spontaneous attack, when we know they knew it wasn't a spontaneous attack.
Who's in charge? You read the New York Times about Arab diplomacy with this White House and the Arab governments over this uprising. They're saying on background to the New York Times, we don't know who's in charge. Obama's cold, he's distant. We get mixed messages from this White House. It's the same thing if you read Bob Woodward's book about domestic politics.
Bob Woodward's coming up in 20 minutes.
And the debt ceiling. You know, who's in charge, Boehner says. I get one message from the President, another from his staff. This is a White House that is not in control of events, and if it were a Republican White House, the media would be all over it.
Marjorie, do you have a problem with him going to a fundraiser the same day, and we don't even know the circumstances of the ambassador's death? Because guys like Bob Beck have come out and said, huge mistake.
Well, no, you've seen this in every administration. The show must go on. And what was happening was intelligence gathering that's going to continue. It's going to continue over the coming weeks. It's going to continue over the coming months. In the same way, again, we dealt with 9/11. If you talk to anyone in national security,
the show didn't go on. The show didn't go on.
But no, I agree with that. I think it was horrible to go to a fundraiser. Hillary Clinton spent the day with the family, with his colleagues. Gotcha. She loved that ambassador, and she took care of everyone's, you know, emotions and feelings and concerns at the time, and the President should have done that.
Our political panel is going to stick around for this. We're going to change gears. Hundreds of illegals not supposed to be in the country, but registered to vote. Democrats say it is not a problem. What do you say? Then, what happens when a squirrel gets busted raiding the kitchen? Yep, with hard-hitting stories coming your way. He jumps out the window. Good news is, he can fly.
Oh! Ja, unten, es rennt er weiter. C'est une